Okay, I've repositioned my camera, so hopefully this makes the quality of the videos a little better. This is, I've already soldered some wires on. I had to redo it, but anyway, like we talked about, you got your clips on the front and the back. You lift up, okay? You take out the screw there, which we talked about. And you lift the clip up, making sure to carefully keep your fingers away from the contact points over here. Alright, I've taken the plastic piece off. I lay it over to the side. Then you carefully lift out your speaker or your board, okay, and that pops off. Set that to the side. Okay, now power, shutter. Now you can run the wires like I have here, or you can run them around from here around this way. Okay, sometimes that's a little neater way of doing it. I think that's the way Bob shows on his video. And if you want to run a ground, in other words, if you want a 5-wire hack, this is your ground down here at this contact point. Shutter, power, ground. I only do 4-wire hacks. Not saying that's the best way or the only way, but I only do those because the less wires, less problems with things. Alright, so I use my battery power and my battery common then as the 3rd and 4th wires, and the battery common will act as the common for the shutter and the common for the power. And I guess what I'll do, while I have the camera open again here, I'll just solder it in the way that Bob shows in his pictures. And let's see if I can switch this off macro and maybe make it a little easier to see. Maybe not. I'm going to unsolder this wire. Apply a little bit of heat. Lift. And what I'll do is I'll hook my wire first like this, just because it makes it easier to control. Now if you want, you can apply more fluid this time. This should work. If it doesn't, then I'll just put more fluid on there. One, two, lift off. Give it a little tug. You can see that's nice and solid. So I've run my... Alright, so now what I do is then I move over here. And what you got here is your power and your negative. I've clipped off the little ledge that's right here. You'll see when you get in there it's a little bit larger. I've also, for our purposes, removed the little plastic piece that goes there. And what I didn't show was there's a ribbon cable right here. It is so easy to melt that. So when you're soldering this in, you want to place a little piece of cardboard or something to that effect behind it while you do it. You don't need much. I'm just folding up a piece of paper here, and you just slide it behind there like that. And all you got to do is just put your soldering iron on that contact point with your 10 wire just for about a second or two. Boom, you're done. Then move over here, and you will notice that when you try to fit your soldering iron in there to solder, if you've got this lip cut off, it makes it a lot easier. So don't worry about it. Just cut this plastic lip off. You can see mine's not very neat. I just used a pair of clippers like this and just came in and clipped it from this way. I've already got the wires soldered in there, and then I run them around this outside post here. Okay? Next thing I do, everything's getting kind of jumbled here. Is I put my shutter bar on. You want all the wires to run out at basically the same spot. You see how I've got this. They'll all run out roughly right there. My power wire will come over here like this and then down. Now, I take the shutter bar. There's a notch here at the end. The shutter bar slides into that notch, and then everything pretty much flows in from there. Okay? Put my speaker back in. Take my plastic piece. You hear that snap? Back in there. Get my screw. One of the things you want to try to do is make sure that your wires here stay underneath the bar, but you don't want it to pinch. So I take my screw. I'll back the camera up, see if I can just a little bit. Take the screw. It's the only screw that's shaped like this. And put this back on. Now, I slide the shutter bar back over. And you hear it snap. And you're back in business. You see how all the wires run out there. Okay, now, the next thing I'll show you is you take your little faceplate and you get an idea of where everything goes. And once you figure out where your wires are, you can mark it. This little scratch is all it takes. And then you can take these same clippers. Now it's a little bit difficult because it bends really easy. Sometimes I use just a cutter. Other times, I use this. I just clip it like that where I want my wires to come out. And you'll see the frame bend a little bit, not a big deal. Okay? You just don't want to get to a lot of craziness going on there. And then I take my little needle nose, these here, where I've got the cuts. I grab it and very gently work it back and forth, and it breaks into a notch. Oops, my shutter assembly, my thing came free. So now I take my front plate Oops, sorry. I'm out of the camera there. I take my front plate, and I put that back on. And you can see how your wires run very nice and neat and unpinched right out the top.